Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be taking a look at prepositions and syntax. Our learning target today is that you will discover and create a rule describing the correct syntax used in prepositional phrases. Success criteria: students will demonstrate success by recognizing syntactic patterns in prepositional phrases and collaborate to create their rule. So, which of the following sentences is correct? The kitchen I am in, or I am in the kitchen. The conference he is at, or he is at the conference. The yard I saw the boy in, or I saw the boy in the yard. Discuss amongst your tables and let me have you share out when you're ready to go. Okay, it seems we're all pretty much in agreement that the words or the phrases in red all sound pretty much like Yoda speak and are not actually what I would call correct English. The kitchen I am in, or the conference he is at, should be I am in the kitchen. He is at the conference. I saw the boy in the yard. Now, part of it is just that, when we hear these phrases, we know that it sounds correct, but how do we know it's correct? What could we put in place to show a rule that shows why these phrases in green are correct? Well, we're talking about prepositions, and here's a list of different prepositions that are used most often in English. Up, down, through, under, by, before, around, over, under, in, at, of, on, and with. And looking at the phrases that we had just gone over, we're going to come up with a rule in determining why the second sentence in each of those couplets is the correct sentence and not the first sentence in the couplets. But what do we have to do first as grammarians and linguists to develop a rule? Now think back to when we started talking about noun phrases and verb phrases, and we did this work a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So when I charge you with the role of being a grammarian and a linguist, and we have to have a timekeeper in the group as well. Everybody's going to have a role, and we are going to work collaboratively to find a rule for why these words have to be in this syntax, in this order, for them to be considered correct English. So, at your tables, decide who's going to be the grammarian, who's going to be the linguist, and who's going to be the timekeeper, and start deciding what is it that we have to do first to develop this rule. All right, linguists, grammarians, timekeepers, let me just remind you a little bit. I hear some good things going on there. It sounds like many of you have started to recall the work we did prior. When we looked at noun phrases, remember how we used this syntactic nomenclature to write the syntactic structure for a noun phrase, where NP was nomenclature for noun phrase. The arrow meaning is determined by or is yielded by the use of the following types of parts of speech. So we have determiner, quantifier, adjective phrase, a noun, and prepositional phrase. These were the things that made up a noun phrase. And remember, in parentheses, the only thing that is not in parentheses is a noun. And that means a noun had to be in a noun phrase for it to be a noun phrase. The other things in parentheses, the determiner, the quantifier, the adjective phrase, and the prepositional phrase, were possibilities. Like they didn't necessarily have to be in there for it to be a noun phrase. But if they were in a noun phrase, they would be in this order. You wouldn't have the prepositional phrase in front of the quantifier and the determiner behind the noun. It would be in this order. So if you took out the quantifier and the adjective phrase and you had a determiner, for example, the article the noun in the phrase would be like some words that we could put in there. Does everybody recall that? Okay, good. So now that we have that going, let's go back now and determine what it is we have to do as grammarians and linguists to develop a rule. Let me give you just a couple moments to work with that. Okay, I wanted to bring everybody together because over here at table 3, we've had the grammarian and the linguist and the timekeeper notice something. They notice that the preposition always comes in the same spot here, and they also notice that in each preposition, or after each preposition, there is an article and a noun. Preposition, article, noun. Preposition, article, noun. If we put all those aside and took everything else and just left what was in the highlight here, we would have what we call a prepositional phrase. So what now is the rule for this prepositional phrase? All right. Very good, class. So we've determined through the process of elimination and observing grammatical patterns and syntactic patterns that a prepositional phrase is represented by a preposition followed by a noun phrase, and that without either of those, a prepositional phrase is incorrect, and that in any other order, the prepositional phrase is incorrect. Good job, and tomorrow we are going to look at phrasal verbs and compare them to prepositional phrases to determine why is it okay for a preposition to come at the end of a phrasal verb. So, good work today. Tomorrow, we will delve further into some linguistic and syntactic study. Have a good day, everybody.